Welcome, everybody, to the Off the Wall Hockey Show. It's a hockey show for hockey fans, brought to you by the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. We are on episode 26, and we are almost to the Stanley Cup Finals as Montreal punched their ticket last night with a massive win in Game 6 against Vegas. And we have a Game 7 between the Islanders and Lightning tonight, which will determine who is going to be Montreal's foe in the finals this year. So obviously lots to talk about there as far as the final four teams and now the final, I guess, three teams, waiting to see how this Islanders Lightning series goes. We'll be talking about that later. We're also going to touch on the Seattle Kraken making a surprise head coaching hire for their first coach in franchise history, going with Dave Hakstol, which has definitely caught the hockey world by surprise. And also, we're going to talk about some NHL awards that have been handed out over the last week. 5 award winners have been picked since our last episode, and we're going to talk about each of them and take a look at, did we get it? Was it who we thought they were going to be, or did it end up being somebody a little bit different? So, per usual, Steele is here, co-host of the show. Steele, it's great to have you on again, and you're ready for another episode of the Off the Wall Hockey Show.
Yeah, man. John, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate all the work you do here at Steel Flyers All Sports Network. You're one of the cornerstones, one of the big reasons why we are as successful as we are is because of all the hard work that you do, John. So thank you very much for all that you do here, for helping to make this a success, for doing the production of the show and everything like that, man. Really appreciate that. So thank you very much. I'm doing great, and I'm ready to talk all kinds of great hockey. We got a Game 7.
Yes.
We haven't had many Game 7s so far in the playoffs this year, but we're going to get a Game 7 tonight that's going to be, I think, pretty exciting.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I think it's going to be a fun one. That series is going right down to the wire, and the Isles got a big bounce back in Game 6 after getting trounced in Game 5, and they were able to come back and win that game and force the Game 7. I think tonight is going to be a whole lot of fun, so I can't wait for that for sure.
I agree. So let's get into the top story here of the day, and that is the Seattle Kraken hiring their very first ever coach of the franchise is going to be Dave Hakstol.
Yes, and this kind of came out of nowhere.
What?
Well, I specifically wanted to talk about this with you, being a Flyers fan, because Hakstol's only other head coaching job in the NHL was with the Philadelphia Flyers, and I've noticed that Philadelphia fans are not big fans of Dave Hakstol, and even a lot of the Philly fans that are in the chat during streams and stuff, they're not fans of Hakstol. And I've always, obviously I got to see some of the Flyers play and all of that, but I didn't watch them on a nightly basis when Hakstol was the coach. And, when you look at it at face value, look at his record. I mean, he won 41 games his first season in 2015-16. They had 96 points and they made the playoffs. And then they missed the playoffs his second season. But in his third year as coach, they won 42 games. They had 98 points. They finished third in the division and made the playoffs again. Now, they didn't win a round in the playoffs with Dave Hakstol as their head coach, but they did make the playoffs 2 out of the 3 full seasons that he was there. Yet it seems like Flyers fans do not like this guy, and I was just kind of getting a Flyers fan insight on Dave Hakstol and why he's kind of looked at this way.
Well, I will say this. The first year that we made the playoffs was at the final game of the season, and we needed to win that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got that final spot.
I got to get that final spot.
Yep.
So, so squeaked in on the first one.
Yep.
All right. The second time we made the playoffs, third in the conference and everything like that, but was not able to do anything once we got into the first round of the playoffs. That was it. Okay. There was no our team had expended all of its energy just to get to the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay, and then at that point, we were done, okay, as far as the Flyers were concerned. I'm going to say this as far as what I observed about his coaching style at Philadelphia for the 3.5, 4 years he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was very inconsistent in his lineups.
Okay.
He didn't have a lot of the same guys in the same spots. He had guys all over the place, all over the lineups. He would sit guys as healthy scratches, and for why.
Mm-hmm.
And then guys that should have been healthy scratches he was playing. Okay. And there was the carousel of goalies there in his final year.
Yep.
Where I think they went through 8 goalies?
Jesus.
8 goalies.
Oh boy.
Talbot was there, never played a game. Mrazek was there. I think he played like 6 or 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
So I mean there was the carousel of goalies.
Yeah.
So that bodes inconsistency there as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he was the guy that Ron Hextall brought in.
Yeah.
Right. He was supposed to be the guy that was going to take the Flyers to that next level.
Yeah.
He was the guy that came from North Dakota.
North Dakota. Yep.
North Dakota University, where he had taken that college team to multiple Frozen Fours. He never won one, but he had been to the Frozen Four multiple times.
He was a great college coach.
Coached guys like TJ Oshie and Jonathan Taves. And I mean,
he coached Ron Hextall's son at UND.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was that connection there.
Exactly. See, now you're getting it, right?
Yeah.
So he was brought in. He was very inconsistent. Every year that he was coach, the Flyers did not do very well in the first 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were behind the 8 ball coming out of that first quarter of the season.
Yep.
Every single year he was coach.
Yep.
Always a slow start. Always taking forever to get guys to score. Giroux went like 9 or 10 games in that one stretch there where he didn't even score.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So there was a lot of droughts.
Yep.
And a lot of inconsistency because of how he had his lineups. Mm-hmm. He never had the same guys in the same lineup at the same time. You know, like even with AV was a little bit more inconsistent this past year, but he always kept Couturier with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, he always kept a group of guys always at the same line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That helps to build consistency and chemistry and stuff.
Yep.
Right. But Dave didn't have that on his team. Because he didn't have the guy, like he'd play guys for a couple of games on the line, and then then that would be it. They never played again on the line again. It was like, what are you doing? Okay, so he's good with the young talent. He's good with that. He's proven that, and obviously that's the direction that the Kraken are going to go.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to get into.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense to look. To me, there was a far better coaching available out there for the Kraken than Dave Hakstol. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the guy's a bad guy. I'm not saying that he can't be a good coach. Okay, but he hasn't proven himself in the NHL level. Mm-hmm. Okay, and even when he was coach with the Toronto.
Yeah, he's been an assistant with the Leafs for the past 2 seasons.
Right. Okay, and I don't know what he did there. If he ran the power play or what, I don't know what he did. And then I also know he was one of the assistant coaches for the Canadian national team. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come across as a big enough resume, I think. But then again, hey, it's an expansion team, and nobody's really expecting much out of them this year, so why not?
Yeah, I think this hiring took caught a lot of people off guard because Hakstol was not a guy that was really talked about very much for getting this job
at all.
And I think a lot of people thought it was going to be Rick Tocchet. Especially over the last few weeks, given, he, I think, got 3 interviews with the team and everyone was like, okay, it's going to be Tocchet, and then it ends up not. Hakstol does not have an expansive NHL coaching resume by any stretch of the imagination. And I think that's why, because there's more experienced NHL coaches out there. That's, I think, why people are so surprised by this. But he does have a very good coaching record in college. And he coached 11 seasons at the University of North Dakota. And in those 11 seasons, they made the Frozen Four 7 times out of 11 seasons there. So that obviously is very, very impressive. He put together a record at North Dakota of 289, 143, and 43. So very successful in college. In the NHL, not quite as good, only 134, 101, and 42. He was fired after 31 games of his 4th season with the Philadelphia Flyers because the team was 12, 15, and 4 and really underperforming. That was a couple years ago in 2018-19. They obviously did not make the playoffs that year. And now he spent the last couple seasons as an assistant with Toronto, and now he's getting another crack at a head coaching job. Yeah. What I think that this shows, and I said this in my video about this the other day, is that I think Seattle's going to go in a young direction here. I don't think Seattle's going to come out and try and win right away. I think we're looking at a team that is going to go in a very young direction and try to build from there, because Hakstol has that college experience. He has that coaching experience with young players, and with he's able to work with that age group and get a lot out of that, like he did at North Dakota. But like you said, in Philly, the meshing between the young guys and the veterans wasn't always there with the Flyers under him. And I think that if you're going to hire a guy like Hakstol, you're probably expecting to be a young team. And that to me has got to be the thought process behind this, is that they're not trying to win now, that they're trying to build a young group and just go from there.
Like I said, you're obviously not trying to win now. Mm-hmm. And look, we're not going to say that Seattle is not going to get some good players, because there are going to be some good players available that are not going to be able to be protected. Yep. But what we all think, and what I guess the whole rest of the hockey world thinks, because it's Ron Francis up there, that what he's going to probably end up doing is grabbing those guys and then trading them off for more picks.
That's very well
using them as assets.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Vegas did, only Vegas didn't really trade away assets. They just made really great deals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They packaged up really great deals to get their players.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I think Seattle is going to be just as savvy by picking some of these guys that are big name guys on some of the other teams, and then use that for fodder.
Yeah.
To get number 1 draft picks for next year and the year after, and you know what I mean, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I mean, if you look at the bottom line, it makes sense that they would want to hire a guy who's going to be good with the youngsters, because they're obviously not going to be building a team with a bunch of wily veterans.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
I'm
interested to see how it goes, though, because we haven't seen, Hakstol coach in a head coaching position since the Flyers. Yeah. So we don't know how he's changed. We don't know, maybe his second stint will go better than the first.
Usually you learn, especially if you become an assistant, because like he was out of hockey for a year. Right. That year he got fired. Right. So he's only been an assistant up there in Toronto for 2 years.
Yeah. The last couple seasons he was with the Maple Leafs, and he's
so
probably learned a lot there. And he's, worked under, early it was Babcock, and then it was Sheldon Keefe from then on out. So he's got to work under a couple different guys, and it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's necessarily going. There's no guarantee that it's not going to be successful. Don't think. I think that we still have to wait and see how this goes, because he could be a different coach now than he was 2 or 3 seasons ago.
That's true. And he could probably have developed a bit of a different system
Yeah.
as well now, where because he's seen what now that he's had a little bit of time. Look, it's very rare that you get a college coach that comes into the NHL and is able to come right in and be successful right away.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Most of these coaches were assistant coaches at some point on another team somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So he hasn't really paid his dues in the.
It's early in his career as far as an NHL coach is concerned.
Right. He hasn't been that assistant coach. Now he has.
Yeah. When he first came in, you know. Yeah. And you don't see that jump from college to the NHL go overly successful very often.
Not in hockey.
Oh, no. Football is totally different. But hockey, you don't see that NCAA to the NHL jump. And, you don't see it in general a lot. There aren't a lot of guys that leave the college ranks and go to the NHL. But David Quinn's another example of he had a pretty, rocky tenure as coach of the Rangers. And, I think a lot of guys coming out of college, that's such a big adjustment in just the game going from college to the NHL. And just dealing with players and there's so many differences between college and the NHL. I think it takes, a couple, or at least one, if not two, really unsuccessful tenures before you learn enough to be able to be a successful coach. And that all comes with the experience. And Hakstol's been a head coach for a long time, but he's only been a head coach for 3.5 seasons in the NHL. So from an NHL standpoint, he's still very inexperienced.
Young. Very inexperienced. Yeah. Yes, very much so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but I think, am I unhappy that they hired him? No, not really. Am I scratching my head a little bit as to why they picked him? Yeah, scratching my head, wondering like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. But hey, stranger things have happened. Crazier things have happened, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
And maybe he's a different coach now, and who knows? It's not that I don't think that Seattle is not going to be competitive, because I think they're going to be. You know what I mean? No matter what team they put out there, I think they're going to be competitive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I don't think they're going to be Vegas competitive, though.
No. I mean, I'm saying competitive, meaning that they're maybe not necessarily going to be the bottom of the barrel.
No, I don't think they're going to win 10 games all season or anything like that.
Okay, right.
It's not 1970s expansion anymore.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
I don't think they're going to come out and be a Vegas level where they're winning the division and going to the finals and
in their first year.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that again. But
then again, we weren't exactly picking Montreal to go anywhere this year, and look where they are.
No, and I certainly wasn't picking Vegas to go to the finals in their first season either. So what do I know?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
I thought that team was going to be lousy, and they were not. So we'll see what happens, but I just think it's a very interesting hire, and definitely one that kind of came out of nowhere that not a lot of people were expecting.
I agree. With the number of coaches that are currently available on the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
With Rick Tocchet, we all thought Rick Tocchet, he had 3 interviews up there?
Yeah. And
we all thought, well, Rick Tocchet's going to be the coach, and that wasn't a bad fit, I didn't think. I thought that was
I thought that was, especially he's able to get a lot out of a team that isn't the most talented, and we know that Seattle is not going to have the most talented roster. Right. So I thought Tocchet would have been a good fit there. But,
I mean, guess not.
I think Hakstol might bring that. He might be able to get a lot out of younger players and players that were. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. Yeah, and just get a lot, because the way that he coached in college, he's also he's a pretty good defensive coach, and I think when you don't have that talent, you have to play a more defensive game. You have to win games by not giving up goals, as opposed to trying to go out there and run up 5 on somebody every night like that. That's not going to happen when you don't have the talent on the roster. So you have to play that more defensive style, and I think he can get younger players to play a defensive style because he did that at North Dakota. And I think that would almost, if Francis is trying to go in that younger direction, but knows that they're not going to be scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, then he's going to need that. And I think that's where Hakstol might fit.
Agreed. I agree. I agree with you 100% on that one. And I also think, too, they're going to be able to get a pretty decent goalie.
Yeah, I think so.
There's going to be a goalie that's going to be available that somebody's not going to be able to protect.
Yep.
That they're going to be able to swoop in on.
Yeah.
And as long as look, all you have to do is look at the teams that are in the final games in the semifinals right now. They're all Vezina winning or nominated or close to nominated goaltenders.
Yep.
With the exception, obviously, of Varlamov and Sorokin. But everybody else in the playoffs is all Vezina caliber, you know what I mean? What?
Yeah.
So if you have good goaltending, that can take you a lot further than not having good goaltending.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's the biggest part of it for sure, to get a good goaltender.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna be able to get a pretty decent goaltender.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a Vezina level goalie, but I do think that they're going to get a solid goaltender, and they're probably going to have a good tandem. I don't see them kind of getting one guy that they're just going to rely on. I think it's going to be more of a 1A, 1B thing with 2 very solid goalies rather than having like one elite goalie. It's just it's going to be 2 very solid guys for sure.
Yeah, you need it now.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't depend on goalies now to go out and play 60, 70 games a season. You can't.
With the exception of like Hellebuck and Vasilevsky, there aren't many that do it anymore. It's not like it was 10 years ago. The tandem has completely taken over the league.
Yeah. I agree. Well, there you have it, folks. Man, how about that? Dave Hakstol hired for the Kraken. Well, they got their coach before the draft. So here we go. Should prove to be interesting, though. I'll be keeping an eye on Seattle.
Oh yeah.
Because I want to see how they do. I'm always excited about the new teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
big time.
I want to see them be successful because if they are successul, that means the league is successful.
Yep.
Right.
And I love their jerseys, so I want them.
Yeah,
to
they
do
are.
Well.
Yeah.
I want them to do well because they have really nice jerseys.
we might have to get one of them.
Yeah, that's going to be on the list for sure.
Yeah, because I think I like them better than even the Vegas jerseys. Because I know how much you love,
Yeah.
I like them better than the Vegas jerseys. I don't know.
I want to see them out on the ice before I try and rank them. But
okay.
Because I feel like jerseys in pictures versus jerseys actually out on the ice can differ. Like how good or not they are can change when you see them out on the ice.
Because when the Detroit Red Wings released their alternate jerseys for this year, it looked even worse when they were wearing them.
Yeah. Oh, those are brutal. I can't believe anybody okayed those. But
well,
moving on.
What do we know?
Yeah, moving on now. It's time for some awards talk. We did this last week where we kind of went through all the awards and talked about the few that had been already handed out and then tried to make predictions on who we thought would win and who we would vote for the following awards. Now, since last week, obviously, a number of NHL awards have been handed out. So we know who the winners are now, and I guess we'll go in the order I think that they were handed out, if I remember correctly, starting with the Jack Adams, which was the Coach of the Year, and this went pretty much exactly as we expected. Rod Brind'Amour, Coach of the Year. Yeah. I said last week that I thought that Dean Evison should get it because Minnesota was the team that I think surpassed my expectations by the most, but I thought Brind'Amour would get it because they were the best team out of the 3 that were nominated. And Brind'Amour did get it, so he is your Coach of the Year this year. And I thought all 3 nominees had a very strong case, so can't argue with it at all.
Nope, not one little bit. In fact, me and Peyton were talking about this on the Sports Dash show the other day, where the fact that he kind of agreed with you that Minnesota's expectations weren't as high.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I pointed out that I think that the main reason, though, was the reason why Brind'Amour got it was because his has been culminating for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yep.
And this year, the fact that they
won
were
the
in
division.
they won the division.
They won the division, and that was
the second round of the playoff. I mean, I know that doesn't count, but they won the division. They played amazingly throughout the entire year.
Yep.
This was a culmination of the last 3 years because I think he was like nominated the year before.
Yep.
Right, and finished like third in the voting. Or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
well, let me
I'm
put it
trying
to
to
you
remember.
like this.
I think he was nominated before. But
this year's voting, he had 433 votes.
Yeah.
Second place had 200 less votes.
Mm-hmm.
So this was clearly going to be Rod Brind'Amour's year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well-deserving.
Absolutely. I thought all three nominees were well-deserving, but I cannot argue with Brind'Amour getting it at all.
No, and I even agreed with the case that you made for Minnesota because their expectations weren't as high.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected the Wild to be this good.
And for him to be able to do such a great job up there in Minnesota and then play well against Vegas.
Yeah, force it to 7.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I know playoffs don't take into account, but the fact that you made it to the playoffs, I think that was definitely part of what propelled him to be in the running for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. But well-deserving, though, for Rod Brind'Amour.
Yeah, congratulations to Rod Brind'Amour. And like you said, I think that was kind of a culmination of the last 3 years. And Carolina going from this bottom-feeding team that hadn't made the playoffs in a long time to making the playoffs for 3 straight seasons now and, having a lot of success. And then for them to win the division this year, I think that's really what kind of capped it off, and they were like, all right, this is Brind'Amour's year. He's taken this team to new levels.
Yeah. Plus, here's another thing that I think, too. Quenneville's already won it.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And I also think that Eriksson might potentially be in the running for next year, depending on how well Minnesota does.
Yeah, if Minnesota takes another step next season, then you very well might see him get it next year.
Exactly. So that's how I think they're rolling this up.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
possible.
They culminated Brind'Amour, so now they have to get Eric to get in there now too. You know what I mean? So Eriksson or whatever.
Evason, yeah.
Evason, yeah. So now they're going to culminate him now. So
all right,
who's going to be the next coach?
Yeah, the next award was the Selke Trophy for best defensive forward in the NHL, and we both wanted Mark Stone to get this because I know that it was because I want to see a winger win this award because you don't have to be a center to be a great defensive forward. But Alexander Barkov, just as I suspected, got his first Selke Trophy. Yep, and this was absolutely no surprise to me.
Yep.
Barkov's been a guy that's been in the talks or in a candidate for this for years now. He's always talked about as one of the better two-way players and one of the guys that is kind of goes along with this award when you think of players around the league. He had never won it, though, until this year. And they finally give it to him. And this is exactly who I thought was going to get it. Just Florida had the really good season as a team, which obviously makes it easier to win an individual award. Barkov had a very strong season. He's been a great two-way player now for years in the NHL. And Underrated. It just seemed like it was finally his time. Like last year when Couturier won it, I was like, it's finally his time.
Yeah.
He absolutely, he's been a great two-way player for a long time, and he finally gets the Selke. I feel almost the same way about Barkov. It's
I agree.
He finally gets the Selke after all of these years. And,
I agree, because he's been nominated before.
Yeah.
He's been nominated, just like Couturier.
Yep. He's been nominated.
But had finished lower in the voting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yep.
now, just like you said with Couturier last year, this was Barkov's year this year too.
Yep.
I agree. I think he had a heck of a season in Florida. I was blown away by how Florida played this year.
Yeah.
Because the expectations in Florida were way down here.
I had them missing the playoffs.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too. And what did they finish? Second in the division?
Second in the division. They had a phenomenal season.
If they would have just, if their goaltending would have not have let them down.
If they had played Spencer Knight the entire series,
there you go.
I think you might be talking about a different ending to the season this year.
I agree. But that only makes the future look bright down there too.
Yeah.
You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? With that goalie in there. And then they even got the guy that's coming in behind Spencer Knight is the guy that was the goalie for the Canadian.
Canada in the World Juniors.
Yeah. So all right. Pretty stacked in goal there.
Bobrovsky's going to be the $10 million backup here pretty soon. the way that he's going. Or he's going to be bought out. I think that's leading to a buyout here.
I believe so too.
But I think Florida's going to wait as long as they possibly can to buy him out because they don't want... Because the way the buyout works is that half the money counts for... They double the years of however long was left on the contract. So if he has 4 years left on his contract when they buy him out, it counts against the cap for the next 8 years. So they're going to wait until there's as few years left before they buy him out.
At least they should anyway.
But with the way that Spencer Knight is coming up,
yeah,
you've got to imagine that Bobrovsky is not going to be there too much longer.
Probably either. And everybody else is talking about Drager not even being there either.
Well, Drager's a UFA, I think, at the end of this offseason.
Yeah.
He's a UFA, so he probably won't be back.
Yeah.
He's going to go somewhere else. Boston. That would be nice.
Oh, no hints or nothing.
Well, I'm saying
right.
Tuukka Rask, if he's back at all, isn't going to be back until February of next year because of the torn labrum. Boston needs a goalie for the start of next season.
Wow. So that's what that injury was on him.
Yeah, he played through the playoffs with a torn labrum.
Oh my gosh, dude.
That was pretty nuts.
Wow. And so he's going to be out till February, you said.
At least February of next season.
Yeah. Oh man. So they're definitely.
Boston needs a goalie to go along with the young kids. So Drieger, I think, would be a great option. Jonathan Bernier could be an option.
Yeah, I mean Drager could be a good option in Philly too.
Antti Ranta could be an option. He's a UFA.
Yeah,
we're getting a little off topic here.
Anyway, so
back to Florida.
Back to the Selke award-winning.
Yeah, Barkov had a really, really good season.
Yeah,
and I'm not surprised that he won this at all.
Nope, not surprised at all, and well deserving, I think too.
Oh yeah,
just like we felt with Sean Couturier, I think. Yep, this was about time he finally got one.
Yep. All right, so the next award was the Lady Byng, sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with high level of play. And then finalists were Austin Matthews, Jacob Slavin, and Jared Spurgeon. And Jacob Slavin won the award, which is pretty much exactly who I thought was going to get it because he only had 2 penalty minutes all season this year, and the penalty was delay of game for flipping the puck over the glass. So
it wasn't even anything
it
like
wasn't
physical.
even. It wasn't roughing, it wasn't elbowing or boarding or anything like that. It was flipping the puck out of play. So
delay of game.
So Slavin wins the Lady Byng this year, and this I think was an obvious choice for me. He played 23 minutes a night of lockdown defensive hockey and did not took 1 penalty all season. I mean,
all season 1 penalty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, look, just how the game is, just the relevance of the fact that you have sticks and pucks and guys with attitudes out there on the ice.
Yeah.
And the fact that the only penalty he got was for flipping the puck up over the glass for a delay of game.
Yep.
He was also a very integral part of the team as well. Yep. And when he wasn't in the lineup, they were big time missing him.
Oh, absolutely. Slavin, I think, is still one of the most underrated defensemen in the NHL.
I agree. And when he wasn't in there for Carolina, they were a different team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And
He's
I
a
think
legitimate shutdown defenseman.
exactly. And I think that was one of the main reasons why they weren't able to move on in the playoffs, because he missed significant games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you can't have a guy like that, missing significant time, especially in the playoffs, when you need a guy like that, because you're going up against the likes of Tampa Bay. Yeah, that's not a guy you want to have missing. So very well deserving of this trophy, and congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Slavin with a great year and gets rewarded for it with the Lady Byng this year. And just a tremendous job of playing great defensive hockey without taking penalties and without stirring up trouble the way that most players do when they play tough hockey.
I'm wondering if that might be the lowest total
for a Lady Byng winner.
For a Lady Byng winner.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at that. But
we'd have to break out our crack research staff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't imagine that there are very many seasons where somebody wins an award with only 2 penalty minutes.
I mean, that just is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
So we might have to check that out and get back to you on that one.
Yeah. The next award that was handed out was the Jim Gregory General Manager of the Year. And this one caught me a little by surprise. The finalists were Mark Bergevin, Lou Lamoriello, and Bill Zito. And Lou Lamoriello got it for the second straight year, which caught me a little off guard. I wasn't expecting them to give it to him twice in a row.
No.
Obviously, he did do a great job in the offseason of getting Matthew Barzal re-signed. Then during the season, he made a huge move for Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac at the deadline after Anders Lee went down with an injury. And, that didn't work out super well in the regular season, but now we're seeing in the playoffs that Palmieri's really turned it on. And, that was a big move for that team. He won this last season because they made some really good moves, particularly the J.G. Pajot move at the deadline last season. And now he wins it again this year. And I'm not saying he's not deserving, because I think he's done a tremendous job as the Islanders general manager, but I'm just surprised that they gave it to him 2 seasons in a row. And I thought that Bill Zito was going to get it this year with Florida, because Florida surpassed every expectation that most people had for them. He made some awesome offseason signings. In his first year with the team, too. I thought Zito was going to get it, but they give it to Lamoriello again.
See, that's kind of what I was thinking, too, that they were going to give it to him. But, did he come in? Did he have a full season?
Yeah,
as their general manager this year?
At the beginning of the offseason last year.
Okay, because that would be what my concern would have been, would be if he was there for the whole year, as to why he might have been slighted. But if you look at what the Islanders have done, I think they've done more with less.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Because...
yeah, he was hired... Zito was hired on September 2nd, so that was while the playoffs were still going on last year, and obviously Florida was out. So he had the entire off season as the GM, and then obviously this entire year. Okay,
well, you know what though, they're just not those types of where they're voting for those guys like that. I mean, they're looking at something else here, obviously, than what we're looking at.
Yeah.
For Lou to get it 2 years in a row. You know what I mean? Because I do agree. I thought Zito probably should have gotten it based off of everything that happened in Florida. You know what I mean? With the signings and all the moves that they made and everything like that. But yeah. I think with what Lou Lamoriello has done with this team, especially in the last 2 years, has propelled them to a state of relevancy that they haven't seen in quite a while.
Yep.
Okay. And so that could be factoring into it as well. I mean, I don't know. So I'm looking back here at the last, let's see, since 1924, when they gave out the Lady Byng. Okay. There have been multiple players that have finished with the award with only having 2 penalty minutes.
Wow.
And in fact,
I can't
you don't
imagine.
have to go back that far. And a guy we just talked about, Barkov, won it in 2018-19 with 8
penalty minutes. Yeah. That's
Johnny
incredible.
Gaudreau won it in 16-17 with 4
Jesus.
penalty minutes. Ryan O'Reilly, when he was playing for the Avalanche, had 2 penalty minutes. Right?
That's incredible.
Yeah. So then the next one is Brian Campbell at 2011-2012. He had 6 penalty minutes. You have to go back to 1999-2000. Pablo Dimitra had 8. Then Paul Correa had 6.
Wow.
Then you go back to 83-84. Mike Bossy had 8. Rick Kehoe had 6. Robert Butch Goring in 77 had 2.
Wow, Butch Goring.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, there's been a couple guys.
Yeah. Wow, I'm surprised. I can't imagine playing a whole season and only having 2 penalty minutes.
I know,
I'd have 5 after the first game just because I'd want to fight early in the season.
Just to get it over with.
Yeah, I'd want my first
broken in.
I'd want my first scrap to be in like the first 3 games at some point.
I'm with you on that, man. I'd probably be the same way.
Yeah, I would not be finishing the season with 2 penalty minutes.
Yeah, I would definitely not be in the running for Lady Bing.
No, that's for sure. All right.
But there you go. Our crack research staff came through. All right.
All right. The last award that was just handed out last night was the Mark Messier Leadership Award. This goes to a player that exemplifies great leadership on and off the ice. And the winner was Patrice Bergeron, captain of the Boston Bruins. And as someone who has watched him his entire career, he's been my favorite player now for a long time in the NHL. And I can't think of a more deserving player than Patrice Bergeron. Everything he does in the community, everything that he does on the ice, he is absolutely deserving of this one, and I'm really, really happy to see him get it because he's been a leader since he was 18. He walked in here as an 18-year-old, just drafted in 2003, and he's been a leader ever since, and now he's the captain of the team, and just an incredible person on and off the ice, and I just absolutely 100% a guy I think that deserved this.
Can't disagree with you on that at all. Is this his first time winning this?
I believe so.
I think it is.
I think so, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Because it was his first season as actual captain.
Right.
So I think this is the first
year. So as his
year.
first season of actual being captain, and he's named to the Mark Messier. I love this award, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. To me, this award reminds me of the Walter Payton Award in the NFL. Because in the Walter Payton Award, they give that to the Man of the Year, and each team nominates a player.
Yeah.
And usually that player is somebody like a Patrice Bergeron, who is a leader in the community, is completely involved in the community with giving back, doing, community service work and doing philanthropic work to give back to the community.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And then also being one of the captains or one of the leaders on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's great to see. That's why I love this award, the Mark Messier Award, because Mark Messier was the true definition of a leader on the ice.
Yeah.
And his passion and the way he played, that's why I love this award. And to get this award, that says a lot about the kind of person you are. Mm-hmm. And it says a lot about Patrice Bergeron that he won this award.
It is his first time winning this award.
Yep, I agree. Our crack research staff had it again, boy.
Yeah.
That's 2 times in a row now. But
we're on it.
Well deserving of this award. And I really like this award. I love the Man of the Year awards and stuff like that. So I'm all for that. And I thought he was well deserving.
Absolutely. So that is going to bring us to the end of our awards talk here, and we're going to be talking up next about the Montreal Canadiens making it to the Stanley Cup Final. And then obviously Tampa and New York have a big Game 7 coming up tonight as well. But before we get into that, we are going to hear from our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. And you'll be seeing a commercial here shortly from them. A big thank you to CCC Resorts for all of their support, their sponsorship, not just of this show, but of everything at the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. They're absolutely amazing, and we cannot thank them enough for their continued support. So here's a word from our sponsor, and when we come back, we'll be talking about what's left of the NHL playoffs.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail Dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
And we're back. Again, a huge thank you to our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts, for their support here at the Steel Flyers All Sports Network and their sponsorship of this show. Thank you so much. It is really appreciated from all of us here at Steel Flyers. But it's time to talk about what's going on right now in the NHL. And we have one Stanley Cup finalist has been decided with a huge Game 6 win last night. The Montreal Canadiens, the Cinderella story continues. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights in overtime 3-2 in game number 6 on home ice last night. An absolutely incredible postseason continues for this team, and they are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Who would have thought this back at the beginning of the playoffs?
I mean, who would have even have thought this at the beginning of the season?
Yeah.
Right? Look, Montreal had the most turnover with as many players in and out of their lineup from this past off season. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, yeah, Montreal probably not going to do all that well. Yep. They come out in the first 12 games of the opening of the season and not lose, and played really well. Halfway through the season, they fired their coach. Huh? Who does that? Right? Apparently, Montreal does that because apparently firing the coach, even though they were the lowest seed, the lowest amount of points, look, you get to the playoffs, you get to the dance, you start off at 0-0-0. And what Montreal's been able to do has been nothing short of impressive.
Yep.
The fact that they have Carey Price been playing up to his Vezina trophy winning self.
He's been absolutely incredible.
That right there. Plus the fact that they've been able to mesh the young players,
the veterans. Everyone's playing well. Everyone's contributing.
Exactly. You know, they have good shutdown defense.
Yep.
They have good offense when they need it. You know what I mean? And they got a shutdown goalie. What? Yep. What else do you need?
Yeah, Carey Price has been absolutely phenomenal in these playoffs. He now has a .934 save percentage and a 2.02 goals against in the postseason. Just absolutely phenomenal numbers.
Wow.
He's given up 35 goals in the playoffs. He's made 495 saves.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely tremendous playoff performance for Carey Price. And they beat Vegas at their own game. They beat Vegas playing like Vegas. They got great goaltending. They played lockdown defense. They had great penalty killing all postseason long. They did not give up a power play goal in that series. 6-game series. Vegas had 0 power play goals. Montreal's penalty kill has been absolutely outstanding. And they got an opportunistic offense from many different players throughout the lineup. And Montreal was able to physically match the Vegas Golden Knights, that was something Colorado was not able to do. And that really got Vegas off their game and really frustrated Vegas.
It did.
And Montreal has been ultra impressive, not only in this series, but all playoffs long.
Exactly. They took a book out of Minnesota's page.
Mm-hmm.
And said if you out physical or you match the physicality of Vegas, you can be successful.
Yep.
And I think that's exactly what they did, because look at what Minnesota was able to do to Vegas.
Forcing them to a Game 7, yeah.
Forcing them to a Game 7. Here we are now in Montreal, and their top guys kept Vegas from doing anything. Their offense completely dried up. Okay?
Yeah.
Stone had what?
0
shots
points
on goal.
He had no points.
That's it. Yeah, he had no points. Right. Their top offensive scoring for Vegas was non-existent.
Nope.
They had 0 power play goals, and they had multiple chances.
Yep.
They had multiple chances. You know what I'm saying?
Pacioretty, I think, only had 1 goal. Riley Smith had the 1 goal in Game 6, but not really doing a whole lot. Carlson did nothing. Marchessault did nothing. Stone did nothing. Stevenson was injured for a few games this series. He didn't do a whole lot when he came back. Just the entire top 6 of the Golden Knights got completely shut down offensively.
Agreed.
And they were really, really frustrated.
You could tell, right?
They were noticeably, like, the body language was terrible. The last couple games especially, they were throwing stuff. They were slamming sticks. Like, they were noticeably flustered and frustrated, and just, they got off their game, and Montreal knocked them off their game.
Agreed.
And they played absolutely outstanding defense throughout this entire series. Listen, Marc-Andre Fleury, obviously the big blunder in Game 3 that everyone talked about that ended up costing them the game.
That's what I was just going to say, because I don't think he should have, because they brought Lehner in to play the next game.
Game 4, Lehner wins Game 4, then they go back to Fleury in Game 5 and lose 4-1.
What are you doing? What, you go with
Interesting
the
move
hot hand.
there.
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me.
And then
why
Leonard
they
played
did that.
Game 6, and he played a good game. They
Played a
just
good
didn't
game,
have enough offense. And even Fleury not playing great, whatever, I don't think goaltending was the main issue for the Golden Knights in this series. I think the thing that sunk the Vegas Golden Knights was their inability to score. Their offense got shut down, and that cost them this series.
Clearly, I believe that was exactly why they lost this series.
Yep.
Number one, Montreal out-physicaled them.
Yep.
They beat them at their own game.
Yep.
Because Montreal was able to match them at that physical level.
Yep.
Okay. And that's where I think Colorado fell short.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
But Minnesota, has that same style.
Yeah.
Right. So they forced Vegas, and that's what, and then Montreal's the same way. You know what I mean? Price has been playing outstanding.
Yep.
I mean, the saves that he has made. I mean, you said it before, 495 shots against.
495 saves.
495 saves.
530 shots against. He's given up 35 goals.
That's like a season almost. I mean, it's not really, but it just feels like it would be because that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he started 17 games.
Yeah, that's a lot of games already for the playoffs. He's played every game for them.
Yes.
Right. So, oh man, well deserving. First time since '93.
First time in the playoffs in the finals since 1993. Yeah.
And they won it in '93.
And they won the cup in '93. It was the last time that the Montreal or a Canadian team in general has won the Stanley Cup. Was 1993. They did make the conference finals in 2010 against the Flyers. And they made the conference finals again in 2014 against the Rangers, but lost both of those series. So this is their first time back in the finals since '93. And
deserving for Carey Price, though, to finally get to the finals.
Huge for him, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
so it doesn't matter, even if Montreal loses.
I mean, this is a huge win for them to even be here. I mean, nobody thought this was the last team to get into the playoffs, the lowest amount of points of any team that made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Fourth in the North Division.
Yeah.
And they're able to get hot at the right time, go on a deep run here now to the finals. This season is a massive success for the Canadians, whether they win or lose in the finals. But obviously, they're going to feel a lot better about it if they win. They've made it this far. They want to finish it off and get the job
let's
done.
try to hoist the cup.
But it's been an incredible season for Montreal, and they are getting contributions from guys throughout their lineup, veteran guys, young guys. Doesn't matter. Everybody is contributing, all four lines, and this has been an outstanding postseason for this team.
Agreed. And now they get to sit back and watch
Game 7
as we have a Game 7.
Yep.
Now, this is only like the second or third?
Yeah, there haven't been many in these playoffs.
Right?
I'm trying to think. I know Minnesota and Vegas went to Game 7 back in the first round.
Right? And was Florida and did Florida? No, that was
6. There's been a lot of 6.
6, but
there's been a lot of 6, but we haven't had 7s a lot in these playoffs.
Got to get Game 7 now. Here, okay.
Montreal and Toronto went 7.
Yeah, because they were up.
They were up 3. Toronto was up 3-1 and then blew it. Yeah.
Okay. So, but that was over after they lost that first game to Montreal. That series was over at that point because Toronto was not able to really do anything after that. But that was so. That's 2. Now this is the number 3. This is the 3 Game 7 now.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't think any others have gone 7.
No, I don't think so either. Because did Pittsburgh and
6. Pittsburgh and New York was 6.
6.
New York and Boston was 6.
6.
Washington and Boston was 5.
5. So yeah, I don't.
Second round was you had Montreal sweep Winnipeg.
4. Colorado and Vegas went
was 6.
6.
Tampa and Carolina was 5.
5.
Boston and New York was 6. Yeah, 6. I think this is only the third Game 7 of these playoffs.
Our crack research staff is at it again.
Trying to remember it off the top of my head, but we have not seen a lot of Game 7s here.
No. And this one here has Well, obviously it has couple implications.
Yeah, winner goes to the finals. This is huge.
But there's going to be some guys missing here for this game.
Kucherov is uncertain. According to NHL, the reports, NHL.com, Kucherov is uncertain for Game 7.
And I believe Cernak is also going to be out.
Cernak is out, but Schen's come in and I think played very well for Cernak on that bottom pair.
So what happened here? It's almost like Tampa Bay had control of the game and had the Islanders completely flustered.
The Islanders got desperate.
And then in the third period, when the Islanders finally turned on the desperation mode,
they were able to come back.
They were able to come back and do it. And I think though that the injury to Kucherov.
Oh, that played a big role. And if Kucherov doesn't play Game 7, I mean, I'm not saying that Tampa can't win, obviously, because they can, but that's a big loss. That's a huge loss. Absolutely.
That's one of the leading scorers in the playoffs that's now sitting.
I think the leading scorer in the playoffs.
Point is.
Oh, well, points-wise, it's Kucherov. Goals-wise, it's Braden Point.
Goals-wise, it's Point. Okay.
Yeah, goals are Braden Point with 14, but Kucherov has 27 points in the postseason.
Leading point scorer here in the playoffs.
Braden Point is second with 20. So Kucherov has 7 more points than anyone else in the playoffs.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that. I knew they were up there, but I wasn't sure what quite was that.
No, Point has 14 goals, but only 6 assists. So
okay.
Kucherov has 22 assists.
Though. Yeah, but Point has the most goals, though, right?
Yes, Point has the most goals in the playoffs with 14. Okay. And Kucherov has the most points with 27. And if he's out for game number 7, that's a huge loss. And it really affects the power play. Tampa Bay's power play is not nearly as lethal without Kucherov out there.
No, it isn't, because he's out there on that top line.
Yeah, he plays like the whole top power play most of the time.
That's what I mean, yeah. But yeah, that to me I think is going to be a huge look.
This is a huge game.
We watched him get cross-checked
by Mayfield. Yep.
Earlier in the back.
Yep.
Okay, where there's no padding. And down around the hip area.
Yeah, lower back hip. That was
the hip that he had operated on in the off season.
That could lead to something.
Because you notice he was okay after that until he got hit by Barzal.
Yeah, and that wasn't even a big collision. That was just a little shoulder collision, and he was not right. You could tell right away.
Yep. So something has to be done about these cross checks. You know, look, I want to see Kucherov on the ice for Game 7.
Yeah, it was a pretty blatant one too.
And it wasn't even called. And then he did it later on in the game against Stamkos.
Mayfield is he's a physical guy, and he's gonna lay the lumber until the referees stop him, and the referees aren't stopping him, so he's gonna keep on doing it.
I'm not a fan of guys that take out stars or take out players like that. So that I understand injuries happen. Okay, I get it. All right, and I understand it's a physical game, but when you're purposely going around doing that to guys, you know what I mean? That to me, I think that needs to be taken out of the game. That's what I think needs to be called. Because look, you see it with guys that stand in front of the net.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna hammer away until the referee does something about it.
And what are they doing? They're constantly taking their stick
and cross-checking,
two-handed, right to their back.
Yep.
The whole time that they're there, but it's never called. Right?
So well, if I'm a defenseman, that's a green light to keep doing it then if they're not going to call it.
Now you know where I'm going with this, right? So if you're allowed to do it while you're in front of the net, it doesn't matter anywhere else out on the ice, you're going to be able to do it, and it's not going to be called.
That's what we're seeing.
Because he was up against the boards, completely away from the net. There was nobody else around him when Mayfield jarred him.
Yep.
Right? Hey, man. I'm just calling it like I see it.
Well, the officiating is its whole own story in these playoffs.
We could have a show.
You could have a whole show just on the
officiating.
refs.
Yes.
But it is what it is. I mean, I'm used to it at this point. I've gotten accustomed to it, so it doesn't bother me like it's bothering other people. But it's not been good, that's for sure. You can't watch these games and think that the refereeing has been good because it hasn't been.
No, it's just a shame, that's all. Because they're ruining the game. They're making it so that the referees are deciding the game instead of the guys with the jerseys on.
Yes.
And we don't want to see that. We want to see the guys with the jerseys and the sticks and this, deciding the games, not the guys in the black and white shirts.
Well, hopefully tonight the referees don't have a big impact on it. Hopefully it's a decently called game, and we know that we're probably going to get a good one. I mean, I'm certainly not expecting 8-0, but I wasn't in Game 5 either. So I'm hoping that this is a tight, down to the wire game that goes all the way through, and we'll see who's able to come out on top.
We talked about this when we were on the call, that that game 6 was a much more disciplined game, was a much more structured game. Right? Like when at the end of game 2, where there was all that physicality and there was all those fisticuffs, and we thought, game 3, it's going to be on.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Yep. It was a game just like game 6. It was back and forth, both teams fighting for space, both teams fighting and nobody giving an inch.
Yep. Okay.
And it was very structured and it was very back and forth. That's exactly how game 6 was. And no matter what, I don't care what you say, if you play a game like that against Tampa Bay, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose. But because of Kucherov being out, I think that was the sway that allowed the Islanders to win that game.
Yeah, and they really turned it on in the third period. You could see that they finally started. They played like their season was on the line at the end of Game 6.
We thought we were going to see that in the first period.
Yeah, I thought that's how the first 10 minutes were going to look. They didn't,
nope.
But it didn't. But they in the third period it did.
Yeah,
and they really came out and got the job done there in the third, and were able to come back and force this Game 7.
There you go. How about that? And now we're going to see a Game 7, and this is going to be, I think this is going to be probably one of the better games in the playoffs, I think, because this is it. I mean, this is all on the line here. Yeah. I'm not saying that there weren't games that didn't have things on the line before, but seriously, though, this is for a shot to go to the dance.
One final game, winner take all, to go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
60 more minutes.
The only thing that gets bigger than this is the Cup Finals themselves, but this is the biggest game of the playoffs so far. Even
better than the Vegas-Colorado series, I think this Game 7 is going to be one of the highest rating games in the playoffs so far this season.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's really nice to have a Game 7 because, like we were saying, there haven't been many in these playoffs. Because
that's what you live for, man. When you get to the playoffs, that's what you want to see is Game 7.
There's nothing like Game 7s.
Nothing. There's no playoffs. There's no sport. There's no playoff format. There's nothing out there that compares to a Game 7 in NHL playoffs, or absolutely. Even for the Cup Finals. There's nothing out there that compares to it. So we get a Game 7 tonight.
I will be live, and I am really, really excited for this stream tonight because this is going to be an incredible 60 minutes of hockey.
It will be for sure. Man. And if you aren't tuned in to John from Off the Wall Hockey, then you should be.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, man. Because it's going to be on.
8 p.m. tonight, Islanders and Lightning, winner take all, one final game, and we'll see who will join Montreal in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2021.
Man, I'm excited. I've been excited for these last – look, these aren't even my teams.
Yeah.
All right? I'm a Flyers fan here, folks. Okay? These aren't even my teams, and I am jacked for these games. Every night, man, it's like, whoo, hockey, yay, playoff hockey, I'm there. Yep. That's what we were all about. This is what this is all about. So I'm excited. Game 7. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Is it puck drop yet?
Can't come soon enough.
Can't come soon enough. Woo!
But
let's go.
That's going to do it here for episode 26, ladies and gentlemen. We talked about Dave Hakstol going to Seattle. We've talked about some awards that have been handed out over the last week. We've talked about Montreal making it to the finals, and we've talked about the game tonight, which will decide who Montreal's opponent is going to be. But
man, I
big
can't
one.
wait.
I cannot wait.
Huge
game coming
next
up.
week's show is going to be the Stanley Cup Finals edition of the show, and we'll already have a couple games in by that point.
Yeah, we'll probably be 3 games in at that point.
3 games in. Oh, you guys got to tune in next week.
Oh, yeah, next week is going to be huge for episode 27. Steele, it was great to have you on once again, as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We know that we're getting ready for a big Game 7 tonight, and that we will have the Stanley Cup Finals starting up here soon.
You got it for sure. Thank you very much to our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. We couldn't do this without their great support.
Yep.
Check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com, or you can also check them out on Facebook. Also, get your grooming stuff booked, because they're pretty booked out right now. So give them a call and get your pet booked in there for their professional groomers. Also, the outdoor pool is open and it's sunny and beautiful. Get time out there for pool time with your doggies. Get them scheduled. Check them out at www.cccresorts.com.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to our sponsor. We could not do this without them. So their support is very, very much appreciated from all of us at Steel Flyers All Sports Network. Thank you to all of you watching and listening out there. We would not be here without you. The audience is very, very important for media. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
Big thank you to everybody for watching. We will be back with another episode next week. Stanley Cup Finals edition next week. It will also be episode 27. Can you believe we've done almost 30 of these?
Oh my gosh.
Unreal. But
time is flying by, my brother.
Absolutely. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Thank you all so much for the support, and we will be back next week with some more NHL hockey talk. But don't forget, a huge Game 7 tonight. I'll be live calling the game on Off the Wall Hockey for the Islanders and the Lightning. It is going to be a big one, and then the finals will be starting up very, very shortly here. So thank you guys again. Have a great week. Talk to you all soon, and I hope you enjoyed.